Aquarius, Aquarius, checking the mic. Welcome to your live astrology reading for the last day in July and moving into August. Um, we're going to look at your astrology. I already have your chart pulled up. We're going to blow it up on the screen so you guys can follow along. And, you know, I do channeling now for all the signs. I do 2 signs a day when I do the live. And I channeled something for Aquarius, mainly Cap and Aquarius, right? So before I go to sleep, I put the intention out there that show me something for Cap and Aquarius in my dream. And I was at a job interview. And I feel like that had something to do with Saturn, right? Because Cap and Aquarius, you guys are both ruled by Saturn. And by the way, if you're coming to this read, make sure your rising sign is Aquarius. If it's not, go find your rising sign and go to that read. I don't do moon, sun type stuff when it comes to your timing, but you can use those if you like. And I'm sorry about the lighting. We're just doing chill vibes today, and it's raining. It's gonna rain outside. But I channeled that I was kind of like in this matrix looking office, and it was an interview thing. I felt like the Cap side of the channeling, the message there for Cap was different from yours, Aquarius. I feel like yours was more about handling something financial that you'd rather have not have dealt with. For I feel like the job portion was more for the Capricorn, especially with the astrology. When I peeked at your astrology, I'm going to peek at the chart before coming on live and just talking my head off. And you do have some transits going on. Mainly this opposition with Saturn Mars kind of stands out to me with that channeling. And we're going to pull the chart up for you now. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to share the screen. All right. It should be up now. Look at the lighting improve when I pull up the chart for you. Look at that. Love that. You know what I need? I need a ring light. And I haven't disclosed where I live yet. I'm pretty sure you guys could take a couple guesses. But I'm getting tanned as hell out here. It's sunny as hell. And I'm always out at my pool. I'm loving it. I'm loving life. I've manifested this life. And I feel you can too, Aquarius, because you got a strong opposition coming now. And that's happening in your 9th house. And that's also happening in your 3rd house. But for some reason, Mars has been in your 8th house of chunky money, So maybe you've had to deal with taxes or dealing with inheritances, dealing with other people's money somehow, or that's been cut away from you. I feel like it's just the beginning. I feel like something here is going to kind of play out when it comes towards you, but it's kind of being hidden from you right now, especially with Mars there with the South Node. You don't see what's going on there. So usually, like when I'd see this transit for a client, I'd be like, yo, did you check your taxes last year? Did you check something here? I would definitely check out if you owe some back taxes. You know what? I thought I actually did my 2023 and 2021 taxes, and I had a similar transit with Saturn being my opposite of sect, malefic, and I thought all my taxes were done. And until Saturn left that house, I didn't see it, but they said, no, you didn't do 2021, 2020. You owe us money. I was like, oh, I do, don't I? Okay. But I did do them, and for some reason they just never registered, never arrived. I have no idea. So I knew better. But there was actually a series of events that got me good at doing taxes. So I'm gonna go ahead not vent out about those series of events, but you got Mars transiting through there. Okay. So, as well as long distance travel and things like that, I would stay away from that, but I'm not saying you can. I'm just saying be careful. The third and the ninth house opposition with Saturn, Mars. Usually I tell people, hey, careful when you're traveling, or if you book tickets, make sure you double check that it's going the right way. I've had people, they book the wrong way. Like they'll book their return flight is actually opposite. It should be their going out flight. So just careful with that. I'm not trying to startle anyone and say, hey, don't travel. But maybe it's not a right time to travel, right? Especially when it's involving Mars there. Yeah, no, I just stay away from that for now. Um, as far as relationships, you got Mercury retrograded in Leo. If there are any troubles with the relationship, sometime after the Kazemi here, that should be done. Moving on towards the 11th, when the retrograde's over and it starts moving back towards the sun here, I do feel that there's going to be something here that kind of you have a revelation when it comes to relationships, or you'll be able to have a clear indicator if it's romantic or not, because Mercury deals with your fifth house. It also deals with your first house of self. So if it's mending a relationship, um, yeah, this is the possibility for that. I do feel like Mercury is going to give a lot more positive vibes. It just depends how it hits your chart. I've seen opposite just as true, where the ex partner will come back before the retrograde or just as it's retrograding, or opposite is true, that when the retrograde's done and is starting to travel through the shadow, or when the shadow's over, but generally around this time. So normally, hey, Aquarius, if you're waiting on that ex, I'd wait a little bit longer. I normally don't say that, not for any. If you're waiting on the ex, there's a high probability of something romantic coming back in your life. Just be aware that might be just sexual intensity, especially because Mercury deals with your eighth house. Yo, now you guys know why 3 times a year you may be having these things that happen with relationships, or they're just fickle. Because Mercury to me, I'm not. Excuse me. I don't want to summon the Mercury in my home. I love Mercury. Mercury's my second house of finances, but you see how this works? Not trying to call upon the bad juju of Mercury here, but Aquarius, when it's dealing with your fifth and eighth, yeah, it could drive you nuts. You might be wondering, why me? Well, there you go. And then Justice said, same for me with finances. Some parts of the year, like I'm just like balling, man. Like, whoa, where'd this money come from? And then certain parts of the year, I'm just like, shit, is that next check coming or what? Right? So just see how Mercury works in your chart. It is a neutral planet, meaning it'll work just as good for the daytime as it would for the nighttime. If you want to go deeper to see how Mercury works in your chart, figure out when you're born if it's on the opposite side of the rays of the sun, if you're, born during the day, or if it's night. Figure out if that Mercury is actually pretty potent. And then when you're doing your solar return, you can actually see Mercury moving around and giving you little messages and hints about that birthday year, especially when it comes to romantic things and erotic, the house of eroticism, hidden things. Look, I was just telling Cap, because Cap and Aquarius, you guys don't fall very far from the branch. You're right next door neighbors, right? I was just telling them, hey, if, because you've had Mars transiting through, your eighth house. If for finances, if you're financially illiterate, this is a fucked up time for you. And you're probably wondering, why is it always fucked up? Or why is things get cut from me? Or why, I don't know, right? And then I think it's time to figure it out. Um, Instead of keeping your money like in a checking account or a savings account, open up a high yield savings or something like that, right? Or try to learn some financial literacy here with Mars. Mars is a malefic and it's been transiting through there all through July, right? And over the South Node. So definitely, if you feel like you're always constantly losing or you're losing battles to the tax man, figure a way to back your money up, right? And I think the eighth house is perfect for opening a high yield savings because at least you'll get 4% and it compounds. And I think it compounds quarterly. Depends what account you get. I know SoFi, once again, like I told Cap, I'm not a financial advisor, but I am good with money. And I know a lot of you don't come to an astrology read for your finances, but I am trying to steer clear from just talking about relationship stuff. I am trying to look at the whole chart so that at least if you get your money up and you're here for the relationship stuff, maybe the money makes you look a little bit better. you know? Um, Loyal employee in the live chat. You're a Capricorn. Go to the Capricorn read. I know you. You're a Cap rising. And crypto, I don't know anything about crypto, but if the Aquarius or the Capricorns were interested in crypto, figure it out. This is the time to do the research. I'm not a financial advisor. Do what you got to do in terms of, you know, finances. I know crypto's kind of volatile. Just from my financial expertise, I would say don't put more than 4% of your finances into crypto. Have that 4% kind of like fun money, because that to me is gambling. But other people will say otherwise, and they're entitled to think that about crypto. Sure, go for it. But anyways, let's pull 3 cards for the Aquarius here. We're going to pull one for the general, what you got to take away from the read, Aquarius. And then I'm going to pull one for the coupled up Aquarius. And then we're going to pull one for the singles. I don't forget my singles. Let's see here. Right here for the Aquarius, 2 of Embers. There's definitely rekindling energy. Yeah, Mercury Leo retrograde can actually be kind of fun, I feel. Especially the sun in its home. I do feel like this retrograde compared to the one we had last year, I believe it was Virgo, is a lot more fun. This could be, because 7th, when I did study Vedic astrology, it's kind of like a fortress. And beyond that fortress is other people, and their manifestation of their matrix or whatever they're trying to accomplish in their life. And that has nothing to do with first house. It's complete opposite. So, and then, us as human beings, we're constantly trying to get into the 7th, that fortress, right? I do feel like if you're trying to get gatherings and reconnect with people, this is definitely the time for that. I love it. The general energy is very playful, very light. It's a cat here. For the coupled up Aquariuses, Dream World, just at home having a dreamy time. Check you out, Dream World. And this isn't part of the tarot deck. It's actually one oracle card that's in the tarot deck, and that's why there's a question mark on it. So it's kind of like the message that I want to create. For the coupled up Aquariuses, this may have to be tied to finances, and that's what we've been talking about, right? Maybe the finances just keep burning up between you and the partner here, and you guys are trying to create your dream home, your little castle here, and nothing's really kind of manifesting here. I think it's something about the finances, though. I really do. I do feel like, and then when Saturn, your first lord, starts transiting, in about 2.5 years through your 4th house, if you guys want to purchase a home, that type thing, Saturn's down here at the bottom in your 3rd house right now, way at the bottom down here. Once it goes over your fourth, I do feel like, Saturn does say no to things, but he doesn't deny you fully. He just says, this is the end of that road, and you're going to have to take a different route to get there, right? And Saturn being attached to your first and 12th house, maybe it's time to figure out where you stick those investments, where you grow your money without having to work so hard for that. That's for the coupled up ones, or check the finances of your partner for sure. Okay. That Mercury retrograde as well could be dealing with your partner's finances. Are they overspending? Are they going to Chipotle every day and spending when they should be cooking at home with you? All right. Now for the single Aquarius risings, Five of Swords. Who are you fighting with? Ooh, I don't like this. You feel backstabbed, betrayed here. I don't like that. I don't like this for my single Aquariuses. I don't like that. If you're a single Aquarius rising, the focus on this camera is trash, folks. I'm not even gonna lie with you. I can't wait till I finish my studio. I'd give you guys a tour, but my house is tore up. I'm remodeling it. I tore the door jambs off the walls. You can see over here. I tore off all the door jambs. I'm gonna replace this whole window. Sorry, I'll get back to your. There's this there's this vibe that you've been backstabbed, betrayed, or something here. There's also the vibe of things coming back. This is also baby daddy energy. So for those of you dealing with that, the children involved, oof, and then Mercury dealing with the fifth house as well, children, and retrograde in the seventh. Maybe this is about the custodial arrangements, or the child support, or the taxes dealing with child support. Trump just signed a new law. I think a bill law. I'm not sure about child support. Now, if somebody's paying child support, the person paying child support claims it on the taxes. See, and there's the thing that I was saying that was hidden about the taxes. You may not see that. You may not know about it. So definitely check on those things for sure. But this is also betrayal at its finest with the Five of Swords. Definitely getting like children vibes too. So I don't know. Maybe I have an Aquarius rising here that's watching that has children involved in their love story, or maybe this is that you want children. Um, but yeah, check it out. Anyways, Aquarius, that's pretty much it. I had 4 people in the room. That's pretty dope. You know what's cool? This lamp looks like it's outside, doesn't it? But it's actually in here. All right, Aquarius, I'm going to let you guys go. Leave in the comments if any of this resonates with your rising sign, and let me know. And we're going to go ahead and do this again next week for all the rising signs. And of course, hit the bell, subscribe. That way you can see when I come live and I do my ghetto singles readings. Because you guys know I'm a Tyler's Tarot fan, so I'm gonna do it too. And yeah, and I call it as I call it. I gotta give credit where it's due. I love Tyler's Tarot, and if I come out here and do some tarot, that's fun. That's all the fun, to do some adult tarot here for you guys later on. But throughout the week, we're just going to stick to the rising signs, and it's not going to be love centric. It's going to be everything centric, from money, spiritual, whatever comes up. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Loyal employee, Aussie girl, for talking in the live chat while I did my read. That's funny. What's the best crypto to become a millionaire? That is hilarious. I don't know, bro. Go check it out. Research. All right. Take it easy, guys. And I'll see you guys again next week. Peace.